Nostalgia hoops, nostalgia sports and culture. Shout out to everybody tuning in. I want to talk Caitlin Clark today, man. She doing historic things, and she taking the women's game by storm. Now, when I made my video the other day, now I know this is very controversial because it's a lot of racial bias in women's basketball. So it makes us as black people extra defensive when our players aren't getting the proper credit because they almost weaponize a good white player. And same thing within boxing. Mistakes that they can make, if we make those mistakes, we're instantly written off, or we're not like that, or it's just highlighted. Whereas they could do the same thing and you'll give them the benefit of the doubt. The media will. Oh, well, this. Oh, well, it's the team. Oh, well, it's always some type of excuse. Whereas the great black player, it's like you have to reach this expectation regardless. Your broken leg, your foot, your team. We don't see none of that. End of the day, you didn't get it done. So they don't even have to win championships, and they'll be elevated above you. Like Sabrina never won, but has a shoe before Asia with Nike, and they're both signed to Nike. And she never won nothing. Caitlin right now is the player of the year. I believe that. I think Aaliyah deserved it last year. I think Caitlin deserves it this year. Her offensive impact from the beginning of the year to the end of the year has grown. And that's something that I respect, and that's something that I commend. Now, had she just been the same player as last year, maybe we could argue something else, and I got something else coming. It's going to kind of just be an interesting think piece. So, she's taking the league. Caitlin Clark has taken the league by storm, and the great Magic Johnson, he tweeted this: Caitlin Clark's basketball. Now, this is where we go to for. I don't know if somebody's running his account or when we casually watch something, we have to be careful what we say, because then everybody else that's not black will weaponize this and be like, well, Magic Johnson's not black, so how could this be racially? We don't know who's talking to. Does Magic Johnson actually watch women's basketball, or did he just watch that? Because if you just watch that performance, or you catch it here and there, and you see something like that, you'll be like, man, because she's playing like Steph Curry. And to see that in the women's game, it's like, if he would have watched LSU in Miami, and then to go from that extreme to watching Caitlin Clark play this up-tempo style of play, shooting from half court, assist, like, it's so extreme that it'll blow your mind. And for that moment, being a prisoner of the moment, you'll feel like, man, she might be blah, blah, blah. And she never won nothing. Got put out in the second round last year. Like, so we have to be careful when we tweet certain things or say certain things without giving full, like, why did you say that? How deep do you watch? We need to know more when you make a statement like this. Are you really into the game, or are you just prisoner of the moment? What other players do you know? What other players have you watched? You're a busy person. You can't be watching all of this men's basketball and women's. Like, you don't have time for all of this. So are you really into this? Or did you just catch this game? Or have you just been watching a tournament? Because then you can't make a statement like Caitlin Clark has the best career outside of Diana Taurasi. What about Maya Moore? What about Breanna Stewart? What about Asia putting South Carolina on the map? Like what did they put on the map? What did she put on the map? Iowa don't have a championship. So what happens if she goes against South Carolina and gets shut down or forced into a mediocre game? Is it still the best? Like, something can be great without being the greatest. This is where we go too far. Same thing with rap. They blew Eminem to the extreme to where now it's acceptable of saying, oh, damn, it's the best ever. When if he came out today, nobody wouldn't really, it was a shock factor. Like, man, white guy, he flip words good. He's hanging out with the black people. He's talking about popping pills. It was just all of this shock factor because you hadn't been brought into that world. We were only used to seeing successful white people on TV. So he's bringing to a white trailer park, grew up in this hip hop culture, rapping at the local. It's just a different, fascinating story with some good songs. But to go greatest of all time, it's like, come on, man. If he was black, it's Tech Nine. He's Twister. Nobody calls Twister or Tech Nine the greatest of all time because they can flip words and have a couple hits. Eminem has more bad albums than good albums. It's the facts. Stan's hard. My Name is hard. That's hard. But the album really wasn't good. Like, that album, it wasn't really good. It just some very good songs. But again, the standard is lower when they're coming into these arenas. So just be careful what you said, man. Like, when I put Caitlin Clark, I know exactly what I was saying. And I'm giving context with it, along with videos you can go back to see. You can judge whether or not am I deep enough into it to be making that statement. Magic, did you watch Chelsea Gray and her crazy shot making in the finals? So just be careful, man. Lomachenko getting pound for pound, under 10 fights with the loss. 2 losses still on the pound for pound. Won't find a black. Jermell Charlo has all of the belts at 154. He can't get on the pound for pound. But Lomachenko with 2 losses was still on the pound for pound list. ESPN. So be mindful of these voters. When Kendrick spoke of that, be mindful and understand a lot of Hispanics classify as white. I don't care what if we're getting real technical, a lot of Hispanics classify as white, if we're being very technical. So, I was saying that because they probably was going to try to say, when he said 90% or something, or whatever was the percentage of the voters, and it's like, no, well, it's this percentage and the rest are others. Well, I'm sure some of those others you probably was going to say was Hispanic, and if we look at their ID, I know a lot of the Mexicans in boxing classify as white. I know a lot of Puerto Ricans classify as white, so I know Mexicans fought for the white classification. So, let's get very technical when a lot of these statements, when you're correcting people and stuff like that, let's not play games to where some of our people aren't aware of. This is something that I have a bigger channel than this. For a lot of people over here don't know, I have a bigger channel. And because I'm very in-depth into boxing, I have to be aware of these things, because if you don't know, somebody will play in your face, and you don't know that they're playing in your face because you just aren't aware of certain things and certain things that has went on in society or certain double talk. So if you're in media, understand race relations in America, specifically if you're in media and sports. But all media, I think, especially for my black media people, you have to dig into other parts, other things, sociology, relationships, because when you start bringing up certain things, people of other cultures will dismiss you, or they'll try to blow you off or make you seem like you're like extreme or some type of racist, or they'll try to flip it on you and go victim mode. And you have to understand how to stay calm in those situations, because they're just trying to frustrate you, gaslight you, and invalidate the point that you're trying to make. And we're on Caitlin Clark, but we just building, so cook with me, because this is a very important topic. This is a very important time in women's basketball, and I'm happy that women's basketball is getting this attention. But I also I want her to be the player of the year, but I don't want Magic making comments like Caitlin and Taurasi has the best career, blah, blah, blah. Like, come on now. Even if we talking about, let's see what else Magic said. What makes Caitlin's 40-point triple-double so special is the fact that so many players never had one. Not me, Michael, or Larry. It was a different time, Magic. It was a different time. We're in a more stat-aware era. I'm sure if LeBron was in college today, that he would have a 40-point triple-double because of his capabilities and because of the stat awareness. And we understand what that does for a brand in today's time. So I'm sure he would do it in college today. I'm sure Luka would do it if they were in college. You guys were in the early stages, and I don't compare men and women's sports. Like, I don't want it in boxing. I just think you can appreciate. I don't compare it in that sense. Like, well, they haven't even did this over here. Like when you say like different awards or something, I wouldn't compare D1 women's and D1 men's or say because you're gonna create a fight. And it's no point. You can just say, this is great. This has never been done in this sport, and this has never been done in this sport. You're not playing. You're playing the same game, but you're not. It's different three-point lines, different balls, different. It's similar, but it's still different. It's the same thing with women's boxing. It's similar, shorter rounds, less rounds that are allowed. So it's similar, but it's different. So it's better for the purity of the conversation that in some regards on things like this, you don't mix it, because you can just keep the conversation simpler, and you don't have to get into a debate. When you start saying Michael never did it, Larry never did it, or you never did it, now you're going to get into an argument of, well, it's this and that over here, and you're going to get too much into a debate that you don't even have to get into. But shout out to Magic for highlighting women's sports. What I'm really here for is to say shout out to Caitlin Clark for Sunday, Iowa versus Louisville women's Elite 8 game on ESPN. Had more TV viewers than any NBA game on the network this season. Caitlin Clark moves the needle, and that's a fact. And that's why I said we need more players like Caitlin Clark because that up-tempo style of play, those efficient threes, moving that rock, all of that is just visually stimulating. It keeps you up out your seat. Even Van Lith, early on, like you want that fast-paced back and forth play. All of this sitting in the paint, and we like defense, but you want it moving. And that's where I feel like Caitlin does an amazing job. Oh, wow, Skip Bayless tweeted about it. I wasn't aware of this. I'm far more excited about the women's Final Four than the men's. Caitlin Clark versus undefeated South Carolina. Number one defense. I'm there. Dawn Staley, Kim Mulkey, Angel Reese, big stars, legendary coaches. Can't wait. Shout out to Skip, man. I want to go to the exact numbers. Let's see if anybody else mentioned. All eyes is on, like, and this is the other thing. Men's college basketball is dead. A lot of the best. This is the thing. This other thing why I say stop comparing, like don't even do that. Because where is the best men's player? The two best. One of them is overseas. And I'm talking about they would be in college. One of them is overseas. And the other one is in the G League. So, of course, and you also have years and years of building these stars on the college level in the women's game because they're staying all 4 years. So it's a different, like, it would be like, who would still be in college? Zion and Ja and all of that. Now, if they was all still playing and they, like, we can't, that's what I'm saying. Stay away from comparing it like that because then you're going to go make the other side get technical and then it just takes away from everything. We don't have to tear one thing down to build the other thing up. I want the exact viewers, so let me see. Viewers. I know it's 2.5 million. Let me see. Iowa Louisville viewers. Iowa versus Louisville on ESPN peaked at 2.7 million viewers. The Elite Eight averaged 2.2 million viewers. Women's March Madness viewership up 42% since last year. The women's sports train keeps moving. Jump on or get out of the way. And I agree, man. Don't be surprised when at some point it's just going to be so in your face. Like I said, I don't like to go too much into credit, but it's just going to be in your face a lot more than it has ever been. Iowa versus Louisville, Elite Eight drew 2.5 million viewers, more than any NBA game shown on ESPN this season. Now, this is a cool way to compare because that shows like, wow, that's heavy. And that shows the impact of her style of play. So most people regard the NBA as the highest level of basketball. And you can top that in viewership with Caitlin Clark's style of play. So it's a beautiful thing. I hope the game continues to grow. And kudos to Caitlin Clark. And let's just be mindful. Let's get more fair in media. I think we can acknowledge what's going on, but also have the goal of working towards a more happy medium, a more balanced voter base. I want at least half the voters to be black. I really want majority of that. If I'm picking, I want majority of that black American because we're in America. Yeah, I just I just think we got to be respectful to who's carrying the game right now, and who's putting a lot of money in a lot of people's pockets. And those players that used to play, they're still available for, to be voters. And we have a lot of great people in media as well, men and women. And I think a proper way to honor them is, let them vote on important things like this. Let's not disrespect their years of being active in the game and building it to what it is now on both sides, and their knowledge for the game. Let's not disrespect them in that way, and let's, get them in position, and let's get them working, homegrown products, and even those of us abroad. But hey, y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Hit that thumbs up for me. We're gonna call this hoop session number 2. I'm watching McDonald's All-Star game right now. I got something coming with that, man. We got some special things coming over here. We're building. Just stick with me and understand in time that I got a good vision for where I want this to go. And block by block, we will get the hoop session.